welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you to the audience for watching and listening. So I have a bunch of questions. I guess my first question would be, how long did this take to, piece all those videos and interviews together?
The research for that was colossal.
I was gonna say, definitely. It seems like, and then I'm sure you had a lot of space on your computer too.
Yeah.
Like all the videos take up such a large a lot of space on your drive. So I'm sure you probably had to get like extra hardware to save all those videos, figure out what snippets of them you want to showcase, right?
There's a lot of work that I wasn't able to include because it didn't make sense in the narrative. Which for me is a massive shame because I spoke to many incredible people and we shot such great footage. Like there are shibari performances between this couple, which was just so beautiful, and there was a trans latex model who also spoke about her journey, and I found that really inspiring. And then even the fetish world and the LGBTQ plus movement. I learned so much, like how it started in Berlin and then was eradicated during the Holocaust, and then slowly built its way back again, that I really wanted to include, and speaking to rights activists as well, who finally managed to get the DSM-5 changed so that fetishists wouldn't get their children taken away from them because of their kink. So there was a lot in there that I couldn't include. Otherwise it would be a huge feature length. But yeah, I'm very happy with what I did.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. I guess another quick question, and obviously thanks Jay for joining us as well. It looks like when you were speaking to these people, they really opened up to you, and it felt very genuine. For any aspiring individuals who want to build their own documentaries, what kind of approach or strategies did you use to, because it just seems like they really trusted you. It's very open conversation. It's not always like that, so you must have a way in terms of how you approach people. Kind of and maybe it's just natural and there's not really an answer for that. But yeah, just curious how you were able to bring out the best in the people that you connected with.
I think being polite with them from the off, knowing how much their work means to you, straight from the beginning with emails and approaching people, meeting people on the scene is really important. Making sure that they know that you're serious. I think the biggest heartbreak for someone is when they think that you're using them or you're just wasting their time. And for a lot of these people, their time is so precious, especially with sex workers. With that, they expect to be paid in some sort of way. So I think being relatable as well, making sure that you see them for who they are, for people, and not just what you can get out of them, which is like a great story. It's very much, and this is something that is discouraged in journalism, having a conversation. But I feel like that is key to getting people relaxed, feeling comfortable to open themselves up to you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think, it's great advice too for, regardless of what you're doing in life. I think people can sense that it's authentic, it's coming from a good place, they're more willing to open up and to share some of their stories. But I'll hand it over to Jay if he has any questions for you.
Definitely. So first of all, I want to say that the film itself is really hypnotic. It really tunes people in and stays. And I think your voice also has a sort of power to very good voice acting, probably unintentionally made, but definitely worked really well. I also want to say that probably next year do not submit as a student film, because definitely it wasn't, by the look of it, it looked much more than a student film. So well done, first of all. My question is actually related to the almost stop motion kind of scenes, when we have the quotes at the top. How did you manage those? Because they're really, really, really nice and well done.
Thank you. So what was really important to me was to have creatives part of it, to sort of the fetish community is full of creatives that they exist by word of mouth, or on online platforms, and you get glimpses of them. And it's really an online network, and if you know one, then you'll know the other, and you can go down a whole black hole on Instagram. But I really wanted creativity to shine out. So immediately I approached different artists, and one of the artists that worked with me is called Isabella, and she does fantastic stop motion. It's her passion, and she's also studying at Central St. Martin. She's in her final year, and she is a very hard worker, and we're both kindred spirits in that we love Gothicism. So when I told her my idea, she was immediately on board. And with all of the artists, I always had a press pack together. I had a file where it would have all of the interviewees and the aesthetic that I wanted. We had mood boards, so they knew exactly the kinds of style that I wanted, and then they would go away, they would produce their own mood boards, their own storyboards, and they would sketch out. They'd come back, we'd have a meeting, we'd see what is feasible, and that's how we would do it. And then, and that's how we went, and if something wasn't quite how I wanted it, then she would go back, and she was very flexible with me, which was fantastic.
It's super impressive. It sounds like a lot of work there.
Yeah.
A lot of, and also, I think you mentioned you edit this film.
Yes, so I had an editor with me called Marina, and she was brilliant. We had a very short deadline, and things kept moving around. And then she helped me with submitting it as my final project for university, and then after that I spent a good deal of time re-editing, and then before I then submitted to festivals.
It's well done. It's really shouts for compliments.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question about the stop motion, because that, when you see it there, it looks so professional, and when you're explaining how much work went into that, it's like, it's easy to forget like how much work goes into all the little intricacies about the documentary. So thanks for sharing that. I guess the final question before I open it up to the audience is, you mentioned the future, of a bit of talking about AI, right? I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on the future of the fashion industry and different elements of the industry with the onset of these new technologies like AI, as you mentioned, like virtual reality. There's all these new technologies, and they kind of find their way into all these different industries, even outside of tech, right? Like within the art space. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, because you've spoken to so many different people, so you have kind of like a good feel, I guess, of the industry.
So one thing that we saw and that we've seen recently since COVID happened is fashion has gone into a virtual space. We saw like online fashion runways, especially during Fashion Week, and it crashed and burned. People did not like it, understandably, but it will persist. And people are going to find better ways, better technologies of making it more tangible. One thing that we're seeing recently is virtual fashion, as in like virtual clothes. So with filters, you can buy almost like NFTs. You can buy these digital clothes online, and then wear them as like a filter. And these clothes and these specific aesthetics, and I mentioned it, they take after almost like cyber surreal fashion or alien fashion, because it goes with that whole futuristic theme. And this goes all the way back to Weimar Berlin, which was when the movement was coming out, and when it was just starting. You had the sex clinic as well, before the Nazis came in. But it was also at this time that you had a specific movement. I can't remember the name, but if you remember the film Metropolis.
Oh yeah.
So that's where you get the iconic robot figure.
Gotcha.
That was then picked up later on by people like Mugler. So you see that in Mugler, and then you see that now as well in virtual fashion. And that in itself is fetishistic. you're fetishizing the machine, and, you know, almost becoming it or assigning a power to it. So that is what we're seeing, and that's what we're going to continue to see. And then as for virtual spaces and kinks, people's virtual worlds open up a whole different realm of kinky behavior. People will be able to, you know, communicate on a whole different realm, you know, explore kinks that, you know, haven't been explored before, you know, like become octopus people, and that could be a thing. It's going to be fantastic, but the really important thing is that across the world, people who are hidden, who can't share their kinks, they go to chat rooms and they're able to be free online. This would open up a whole new pathway for them, which is really important. I'd say the thing to be wary of is deep fakes. So deep fake porn is something that people are trying to navigate, and that's something that's really important. Yeah, and also maintaining copyright and ownership of different aesthetics as well is something that's going to be super important too, and privacy. And these are all things that the kinky community online is going to have to mediate.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, I think like IP, right, with AI now, you see all these, you know, these pictures that look real, and you're like, wait a second. So like being able to regulate that and be able to, yeah, incorporate some sort of IP regulation makes sense. I mean, you've seen it obviously in the film industry as well, right? There's a lot of movement. But thank you so much.